Breaking news.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, there are so many tweets and messages and posts on Truth Social coming from President Trump. In just the last little bit, you got to hear this here on the Rita Cosby Show. Of course, President Trump has set up his Board of Peace. And he just recently put out a post saying, "Dear Prime Minister Carney," referring to Mark Carney of Canada, saying, "Please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding Canada's joining what will be the most prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Thank you for your attention, Donald J. Trump." And the hits keep on coming. Many other things coming out in the last few minutes where he is talking also about Jack Smith, saying what a deranged man he is, and also saying that he believes Jack Smith committed perjury, and he also hopes that Pam Bondi and others are watching. One of the comments coming from President Trump today over the former prosecutor who went after Trump with a vengeance. Well, he was grilled today on Capitol Hill, Jack Smith. And after the testimony, and we're going to talk about this also later on in the Rita Cosby Show, it was like two different worlds. I mean, Jack Smith was all over the place and revealed that he really didn't use even his own protocol when he was secretly getting the phone records of some major GOP members, including then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy. So President Trump puts out a post clearly watching the testimony today. And here he is. He's in Davos. The whole world is waiting for him. He's holding court because the world revolves around President Trump and America. Truly, America leading from the front. And Donald J. Trump, you think about it, he is juggling so many things. He's juggling this Board of Peace. He's talking about Greenland. He's talking about so many things. But ever the multitasker, he also was obviously getting some highlights and tuning into some of the Jack Smith testimony because he's the guy who went after him on January 6th on the classified documents case. So Trump puts out a tweet saying, based on his testimony today, there is no question that deranged Jack Smith should be prosecuted for his actions. He destroyed the lives of many innocent people, which has been his history as a prosecutor. At a minimum, he committed large-scale perjury. So we'll see where all of this goes, but it's been a fast and furious night. The other big story is now 3 individuals who have been tied directly to that storming of the church just outside of Minneapolis in Minnesota. Well, they are now facing justice. I'm so happy to hear this, that ICE, that the Department of Homeland Security, and in this case, of course, the Department of Justice is getting tough. They're getting fed up and they are getting tough. And I'm so glad that they're doing this. I've said this to you guys before here on the Rita Cosby Show, that I firmly believe that individuals should have been arrested sooner. I think anybody who's impeding ICE, I think anybody who is blocking the roadway so ICE can't get by, whether they're trying to get out of a building or go into a building to make an arrest or even just driving down the street. I think all of these things are so dangerous. They're so improper. They're so immoral and they're so destructive. And I'm so glad that today, J.D. Vance, the vice president, was there in Minneapolis, standing side by side with our men and women in ICE and Customs and Border Enforcement, saying, we support you. We have your back. Because I can't even imagine what it's like being a CBP or an ICE agent right now. In the middle of all this, I mean, there were some scenes just a little bit ago that just came out of Greg Bavino, who's one of the head guys that you always see all the time with Border Protection. And he's a guy who's sort of leading the charge there on the ground. He's been in Minneapolis. He was trying to get into a convenience store, a basic thing that many people do all the time, right? He was trying to get into the convenience store. And these ICE activists, these anti-ICE activists and protesters were throwing bottles at him, shouting at him, doing anything they could to block him and his team from just going into a convenience store to maybe buy some potato chips and a drink. I mean, what have we come to, guys? What has happened? What has happened that ICE agents are being awoken at the hotel at night because suddenly a crowd is trying to storm into the lobby of a hotel? That's happening in also Minneapolis. There are so many of these cases, and to me, I am fed up as an American who loves our law enforcement, and I hope all of you guys are too. And I'm glad to see that the Department of Justice is saying it's time to get tough. Thank goodness. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show on another very busy news night, guys. Well, first, let's talk about these protests, too, and the fact that these arrests are now finally coming. They arrested 3 people today, and 2 of them were women. One of them was tied to Black Lives Matter, which is a whole other issue. I think, there are a lot of people who joined Black Lives Matter for noble reasons, and there's a lot, I think, who joined it for very bad and destructive reasons. And we were talking earlier today, John Katsimatidis and I, on Katz and Cosby, and we were talking about these issues with Professor Alan Dershowitz, who was talking about Black Lives Matter and how corrupt he says they are to the core. Even if people had a noble intent, boy, has it gotten polluted. And you see about it with the protests. And you wonder who is backing these other protests. So I'm hoping that the Department of Justice is going to start throwing the book at all these other individuals who are funding these very destructive anti-American, anti-ICE policies and protests that are happening across this country. There's a lot of reports that NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, these nonprofits are actually getting tax dollars that may be getting funneled and ending up in the hands of these protesters. In other words, our tax dollars may be paying for this. And if that is an abuse of American tax dollars, I don't know what is. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to The Rita Cosby Show. Let's talk about these arrests that took place just a few hours ago. Hopefully it's a big wake-up call to all of these out-of-control protesters everywhere. Here's a little bit of sound. Let's take you back to what happened during that Sunday service at the church there in St. Paul, Minnesota. And this is what it sounded like, everybody.
You're interfering.
Renee Good. 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 Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot.
I mean, coming into a church service, can you imagine you're in there, you're praying, you're there. In fact, it's parents and kids. You see all these terrified kids in there that are downright frightened and scared, and parents too. Can you imagine you're in a peaceful church service, praying quietly, and then suddenly that happens, takes over? That's incredible. And one of the key leaders of this entire protest is this guy named William Kelly. Everyone's kind of come to know him because he's been putting up all these social media posts, and this guy has been defiant to his core. And he keeps saying, we were in there peacefully. We were in there quietly. We were in there peacefully. We weren't doing anything. We just went in there. We didn't disrupt the church service. We kind of joined it. And people were still praying, and nobody was scared. I mean, I don't know what video he's looking at, but the video that I've seen, my opinion, they look scared to death. But here is William Kelly. Listen to what he said. This guy is a full-blown Che Guevara revolutionary. Listen to this one.
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. I did not block them from, their service. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. The police never came in and removed us. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying the entire time. The music was still playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
Doesn't that sound like a nice, peaceful, sweet man? Like Mr. Rogers coming into your church. My goodness. And then he got really nasty, making these really just horrible comments about Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. Here's a little more from the organizer of that St. Paul church. I call it storming, not a peaceful protest. Here he is.
Kristi Noem, the bird-legged hoe that she is, has said she's coming to arrest us all tonight, for our little protest. And it wasn't even a protest. Let's call it what it was. We went into the house of God and preached the words of God. But, a lot of us are scared. Hell, my wife is terrified for me right now. They're trying to tie all these protests I've done together and label me as some sort of domestic terrorist. Who knows what they're going to do? But, it's still white privilege right now. We're experiencing what these Latino people feel every night, the fear that their door is going to get kicked down and they're going to get taken away. So wake up, America. They're coming for us now. They're coming for the people. Stop ignoring this. It's time to stand up. It's time to organize. It's time to stop having permitted parades. It's time for civil disobedience. Get off your asses now before they come for you. I will not be intimidated by a bird-legged hoe. All power to the people.
There's a lot of shocking things about what I just heard. Of course, one of them is the fact that he said he's married. Can you imagine being married to that guy? Can you imagine? Honey, good morning. I will not be. That would be an interesting relationship to have to deal with somebody like that every day. My head's about to explode just hearing a few seconds of him. So then DOJ goes in and they arrest 3 individuals. First, they arrest these two women who were also in the church. You see them on the video, because remember, the video's out there clear as day. They were out there protesting it. They were parading the video, putting it out themselves, bragging about what they did, again, under the false guise of saying it's First Amendment. And so Department of Justice said, you know what, we're going to look into this. This is serious stuff. This is big stuff. We will definitely look into this. And then William Kelly, in classic form, the guy who actually is married, believe it or not. I need to talk to his wife. But anyway, this guy then comes out, and right before he's married, he kind of has this enormous meltdown and says, I can't believe these other people were arrested. You're never going to arrest me because I didn't do anything wrong. I'm a peaceful protester, blah, blah, blah. Listen to him having a meltdown after 2 of his friends get arrested. And guess what? Right after he made these comments, I'd say maybe half an hour, he gets arrested too. Here it is.
They've just arrested Nikema Armstrong for our protest on Sunday. My lawyers tell me they have no case. This use of the FACE Act and the KKK Act is complete. But let's be honest, they don't care. They don't believe in the rule of law. They're fascists. They're now going after the Clintons for the Epstein files. What the damn it, people. When will you stop acting like everything's normal and going about your days? Get in the streets now. It's time to shut this country down. We are at fascism. The republic has fallen. Please, Americans, please stand up for something. Do not be the same as those in 1930s Germany, because right now that's exactly what you're all doing. Please wake the up.
I wonder if he could do a sentence without a 4-letter word, so we wouldn't have to beep every other word that he says. Because I don't know many people who talk like that, and I'm sure you don't want to hear it either. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222, and you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show on another really busy news night. We're also going to talk about the big storm that's coming, not just the ones that are going into churches, like this guy, but also an enormous snowstorm that's expected to pound much of the country. We'll talk about that and so much more when we come back. 1-800-848-9222.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Rita Cosby Show.
Well, they were screaming when they went into that church in St. Paul, Minnesota, despite what I hear from people like William Kelly, who now has been arrested on federal charges. And you know the feds don't mess around, guys. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Liz in Florida on line 5. Go ahead, Liz.
Hi, Rita. So I was in Best Buy today at the Geek Squad with my sister, and I wanted to tell you the conversation I had with this 25-year-old employee. So my sister's iPad cover has all pro-Trump stickers on it, just so you know. So I asked this person helping us where he's from, and he said he's Hispanic. So I said to him, I know, but where are you from? And he was afraid to tell me, and he said Venezuela. So I started to say how amazing our president is to make Venezuela safe again. He agreed. And then he started to tell me that he thinks that there's so many bad things that Trump is doing. So I said, like what? He said, ICE. I said, are you afraid they're going to come after you? And he said, no. I said, they're only after the bad guys. And then I asked him, does he know anybody who died of fentanyl? He said his best friend. And he starts like basically crying to me. So I said, our president's only trying to make us safer. And I think I got to him. And it just took me a half an hour. And, you know, that's all I need. Half an hour with those that are filled with anger. They just need to know truth and clarity.
By the way, Liz, we love you. I think we just really need like 5 minutes with you because you are such a voice of reason. And how great that you were able to back it up with some facts. And obviously, it's sad he understands the price of fentanyl and understands there's one president who's really cracking down on it.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Rita Cosby is on. The Rita Cosby Show presents Back the Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Kalamazoo, Michigan, where a fishing trip nearly ended in tragedy after a fisherman fell through the ice of a West Michigan lake. Thankfully, Kalamazoo public safety officers were able to rescue the man who was almost completely submerged and get this clinging to a piece of ice. Now, officers got a report of a man in the water. When they arrived, they found that the 63-year-old fisherman was submerged to his shoulders, and he was holding onto a small piece of unstable ice. What a scary situation. Now, due to unsafe ice conditions, they were initially unable to reach the man without specialized equipment. And then members of the highly trained public safety Squad 6 team came. They put on their cold weather gear and they entered the lake. They were able to place a life preserver around the man and then pull him to safety. He was immediately taken to the hospital and incredibly is going to make a full recovery and very thankful to be alive, thanks to the great men and women in blue. And we're going to continue talking about attacks on ICE. Also, by the way, speaking about attacks, oh my goodness, talk about the political attack by former special counsel Jack Smith. Remember, he's the guy who went after Donald Trump. And there were so many questions today. I don't know if you guys watched the hearings. I was watching a lot of it. And one of the big things that stood out to me was that he was asked about the secret spying of Republican phone records. And there were a lot of questions about how come he didn't present it to the judge, he and his team. When you ask for phone records, access to it, you need to normally state, here's the person we're surveilling. Here's the person we want information of. First of all, it's bad enough that he was surveilling and getting the phone records of a whole bunch of members of Congress. I think it's like 8 members of 8 senators, some House members too. But then it also turns out that he also had the personal cell records, the tracking of it, of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, one of the highest ranking individuals in America. Think about that. And he doesn't report it to the judge. Here's the person who I'm looking for, because he knows he's overreaching. That's my opinion. He knows that he's overzealous. He knows that he's out to get President Trump. So listen to this exchange. This is with Congressman Brandon Gill of Texas. This is him at the hearing, and he's talking directly to Jack Smith, who today was on the hot seat. He was the witness who was forced to testify. Take a listen.
How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with one. It was 16 days after becoming the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the speech or debate clause? I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll records... You
were collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records.
That's amazing. And that guy was the one who was going after the president of the United States? Because he doesn't have a good answer. And here is, though, the Democrats, because I told you it was like alternate universe in the hearing. Here is Steve Cohen, Democrat of Minnesota, the great state of Minnesota. I like Minnesota, but I'm wondering what's in the water with the Democratic leadership there. But here is Steve Cohen. And he basically said that Jack Smith is an American hero.
You felt that you had a case that was one that you would win beyond a reasonable doubt, no moral certainty. Is there anything in your facts that you had that you would have used at trial that you believe has not been presented to the public in the past or have been misrepresented to the public?
My review of the case, I came to the conclusion we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We were ready, willing, and able to go to trial in the case. Of course, as I said in my opening statement, prosecutors can't control outcomes, but I felt confident in pursuing the case to trial.
Did Merrick Garland ever pressure you to bring an indictment or to do anything in your investigation?
No.
Did anybody else in the administration, President Biden, Vice President Harris, et cetera?
I was given the independence to conduct my investigation, and I came to the decision to bring charges in this case without undue influence from anybody in the department.
And you dropped the case. Why did you drop the case?
The cases against Donald Trump were dismissed pursuant to department policy.
Department of Policy, the Office of Legal Counsel said if somebody's president, you can't bring a charge against them or they can't be held liable. Is that correct?
That's correct. There had not been a case of this nature ever where someone was elected president with charges pending, and so that was slightly different. So we consulted with with the Office of Legal Counsel, and they determined, pursuant to policy, that the cases needed to be dismissed.
And you weren't pleased with that, but you had to follow the law, and that's what you did.
We followed policy throughout my investigation. My job was not to set policy. My job was to follow it, and that's what we did.
I want to thank you for your service. I think you're a great American, and you came out of this as being somebody who people can respect and look up to in a fashion that we should be instilling people's desire to go into justice, to go into law, and to go into government. And you're an example of the type of person they should follow. I yield back the balance of my time.
That's incredible. A great American, someone that we should all look up to. I'm telling you, if you think that guy was apolitical, both of them, for that matter, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn, guys. 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Al in Yonkers on line 1. Al, your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, Rita, thanks for taking my call. You know, as all your viewers or listeners agree, 95%, what the Jack Smith did as an independent counsel to the president and his family, the ex-president at the time, was a terrible thing. I hope that the Pam Bondi during her tenure as Attorney General, if she stays the whole term with the president, I hope she focuses in on the Attorney General under Biden and his top assistant. I hope he focuses in on them because I hope he doesn't get away scot-free. I hope he gets called in front of Congress.
That's a great point. You're talking about Merrick Garland, obviously, right?
Yes.
And you're right,
yes.
because he's the one who had to sign off on a lot of these things.
Yes.
Sign off, playing a role with Jack Smith, sign off on the Mar-a-Lago raid. There's no way that the Attorney General would not have been aware and have signed off and participated in allowing that to happen. You're right. There are just so many things. And I also think, you heard from Jack Smith today with a straight face saying, nobody influenced me. There was no pressure. I treated everybody fairly. I treat Republicans and Democrats fairly. And then you go through the litany. I thought what was very powerful is then when a number of the GOP members said, well, let's go through, who did you get the records from? You got them from every single one of them was a Republican. So yes. I agree. And you know what? I think is so important, Al, and you hit it on the timetable too, because let's see where things go. But obviously with the midterms, if the Democrats win yes. the midterm, they're going to put a kibosh on a lot of the things that Congress can do. It doesn't mean that the FBI and others can't proceed and do their own investigations and DOJ doing right. their own internal, to your point. But the clock is ticking. So you're absolutely right. Sooner than later, right?
That's right. And it's just peculiar as I think he was a judge in The Hague, the international court, how he was chosen too. I mean, that was, out of the norm. He was working in The Hague, the Netherlands, I believe, the international court.
Yep.
And why was he chosen? So that was very out of the norm.
Yeah, well, it fits because I think he thinks Trump's a war criminal, and I think he was ready to go after him even before. It's like he didn't wait. We haven't even told you what the charges are. Don't worry, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. So I think he was wound up and ready, and they're like, "That's our man," Al,
I agree.
Al, thank you. You're always really great. Thank you very much. Let's go to Sandra in New Jersey. Sandra, your thoughts tonight?
Boy, oh boy, does he bring back bad memories
I know.
today.
Me too. When I heard him going through all the litany of January 6th, I was like, oh boy, we lived through, all of us. I remember even talking with you, Sandra. It's like we all lived through it. It was like the longest year or two of our lives, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it felt like somebody was sticking bamboo shoots under my fingernails, looking at them even.
Well, it all, even, when we learned that his daughter, a Democrat, was on the campaign trail, that was immediate red flag that he shouldn't be doing this job. And he was just, in my opinion, the worst of the worst. And I hope that they prove that he did wrong. And if they do, he should be investigated. He should have professional consequences, and he should get what's coming to him. I just hope that he gets the highest level of accountability, not immunity.
Yeah, I agree. No one's above the law. Remember, we heard that from Letitia James and everybody else. Sandra, thank you very, very much. Let's go to Ross in the Bronx, line 4. Go ahead, Ross.
Yeah, good evening, Rita. Just to the point, these protesters at the church in Minnesota, I would like to see them pursued with the same vigor and determination that they went after the January 6th trespassers. They sought them out for months. They sat in jail without being arraigned, most of them, and they never received justice and served like 4 years in jail. So
no, you're right, and there's still a few that are still kind of tied to January 6th that are still in jail, and a lot of them got pardoned by President Trump. But you're right. If you sneezed near the Capitol on January 6th, remember, even they went to the phone companies and they did the targeting and, how that you can track the cells by the towers, the cell towers. They did all these extraordinary steps, found out who bought anything that could have resembled a protest or a sign or anything. And you're right. It was like throw them in the pokey like they're in in The Rock, the movie The Rock with Sean Connery. Yeah. It's like how they treated them. And you're right. Yes. And now, I'm glad they got 3 of these people. That's a start. But I agree with you. It should just be a start, right?
Yes. They did the facial recognition, the whole thing, and they went after them. So, what's good for the goose, as they say, right?
Yep. And in this case, there is a lot of video. They were out there bragging about it, showing their own video. Remember, going, hey, look what we did. Ha, ha, ha. By the way, Ross, what do you think of Don Lemon? I'm curious what your thoughts, because the judge came down.
He sucks lemons. I think he sucks lemons. That's what I think.
Do you think? Now, and it's interesting. I say this as a journalist. I've covered many crazy stories. But I also haven't been a part of where you're in there sounding like you're, in this particular case, it sounds like, he sounded like he was one of the protesters. I didn't even know it was Don Lemon. I thought that was like a wild protester. And then I was like, oh, that's Don Lemon.
He is like the rest of the illiberal left, the left-wing media. They lie about everything. That's the way I feel.
Well, it's interesting because I was looking. I think it's Megyn Kelly who put out a little bit in her one of her podcasts, and she came out and she essentially said that that what he said also about why he was there, what he was doing. She said, and she's an attorney. She was saying that those were, in her feeling, some words that could be used against him. And she doesn't rule out that maybe potentially something else may be coming. We'll see. It's interesting. It's a little different when you're dealing with a journalist. But then some people say, Don Lemon, journalist, that's questionable. That's the response from a lot of people, too. Ross, thank you very much. Everybody, we're going to continue with your calls after the break. 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And coming up, also an enormous winter storm that is expected to pummel much of America. They're expecting that, and some people are feeling it already, but all the way into the weekend, to 170 million people may be feeling the major effects. There may be a lot of travel delays, a lot of power knocked out. Even in New York City alone, they're expecting maybe a foot of snow. Sometimes it turns out to be right. Sometimes it turns out to be a little bit of a poof. So we'll see what it is. But meteorologists are expecting a big one. So stay warm, everybody, and stay safe, of course. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Norm in Brooklyn, line 5. Go ahead, Norm.
Yeah, hi, Rita. Yeah, I'm hoping for a poof because I can't deal with shoveling. So anyway,
a foot is a lot, by the way. It's so much for global warming. I think we need to call Al Gore. Where's the global warning? Remember all the, it's going to be the hottest. This has been the coldest winter ever.
Yes. Concerning that Kelly guy, I think, I hate when these guys, he was talking about, it's just like 1933, wake up, people. They need to expose these guys. All these and women. These people are upper class people. That accent screams to me of affect. I don't know where he grew up, but I have a feeling he grew up in a very comfortable upbringing. Just from, I don't know, just his attitude. They do not represent the people that fought the Nazis. Okay, they represent the people that were Nazis. Okay, he is a fascist. Okay, those people are violent. If you disagree with them, they will attack you. Okay, there's nothing about them that has any relationship to what, say, Martin Luther King Jr. did during, or Gandhi or anything like that. These are violent anarchists.
I agree, and that's what's so scary. And by the way, I hope, I don't know what's going to happen. Apparently one of the people who was arrested is tied to Black Lives Matter. I'd be curious to see what ties does this William Kelly have to maybe some of these other groups. I don't know if he'll ever expose it. I don't think he seems like the kind of guy who'll expose it, or maybe he'll brag about it. Who knows? Because he seems to be very boisterous. But I would like to find out who's funding these people. And, the great analogy, you were at January 6th, right? And you probably just heard from our previous caller who said, they need to treat these people just like they track down anybody who breathed near Capitol Hill. What do you think of that when you hear that? Because I agree. And what these people did was horrendous.
They need to be very serious with these people because they're dangerous. Okay, unlike the people who went to the Capitol on January 6th. These are dangerous people. I mean, they'll do anything. I mean, listen, they think they're right. Okay, they really think they're right, and they will, and everything justifies the means, by any means necessary. That's what these people are about.
Yep, you are absolutely right. And the thing is, they need to be also aware that bad actions have consequences, and that people are fully watching them, and you need to behave respectfully of all people. Maybe they're getting the lesson now.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?